What's up, y'all? Welcome to another episode of the Six Figure Vet Podcast, where we share the success stories of veterans that have successfully unlaced the boots. Be sure to subscribe to our podcast on all streaming platforms and give us a follow on the gram at the Six Figure Vet.
I'm a
Let's
six-figure
go.
vet, self-made, self-built, didn't stop, dedicated, stayed down till I came up, that's patience. Dreaming to goals to plans to execution.
Hey, y'all. Welcome to another episode of the Six Figure Vet Podcast. I am your host, Jalen, and today we have a very special guest on. Her name is Elexus Rosechong. She is a Navy veteran with a very, very, very unique story. She has been in the claims adjusting insurance field for about 8 years, and she has acquired much success hitting the six-figure mark within it. So ladies and gentlemen, and she's a mother. Okay, let's not forget that. Okay, she's a boss, a whole mother out here in these streets. So I just want to take this time to give a warm welcome to Miss Elexus Rosechong. How you doing, girl?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm happy to be here on the podcast. Hello, everybody.
We are happy to have you. We are so happy to have you. So of course, I just want to do my check-in. How are you doing today?
I'm fine. I'm fine. The job of a mother is never done, but of course, I'm super mom, so of course, I always get everything done. How are you?
Ain't you though? Ain't you super mom? I love to hear that. I love to hear that. So, first of all, you are originally from Dallas, if I'm not mistaken.
I am from Dallas, Texas, born and raised.
Okay, yes. So you are from Dallas, Texas. How did you end up in the world's greatest Navy, right?
So kind of funny. So, growing up, I had a really bad attitude. Like I felt like everybody owed me something. I never was the one to think. I was always the one to, act first, think later, ask questions later. So I said, you know what? I cannot continue to live life like this. Kind of like Will Smith, when he ran into trouble in the neighborhood or whatever. I said, okay, you know what? I slid through the cracks on that. And I said, you know what? I have to make a change. I have to figure out what I want to do. My best friend, she was actually saying that she was going to go to the army. And she said, well, how about you go to the army with me? I'm like, oh, I don't know about going to the army, right? I'm like, I don't want to fight in the field. That's what I'm thinking, being very ignorant at the time. So I'm like, I don't want to, I really don't want to fight, but I don't mind going to the military. So I said, let me look at the Air Force. Of course, I had tattoos then, so that the Air Force was like super anal. I said, okay, well, let me check out the Navy. And my recruiter, Anastasia Allen, who I'm really cool with, who I'm really close with to this day, she really struck my attention, and she was like, you know what? I see a lot of me in you, and I want to make you successful. I want to give you the guides to make something of yourself. So that's why I chose the Navy, because of Miss Allen.
Not you that sat up here and did a not West Philadelphia, but West Dallas, born and raised at the playground is where you spend most of your days at, child.
Yes, I had to figure it out, because I'm like, you know what, the way that I'm going, I said I'm probably going to end up dead or in jail, like, just to be honest, because I used to fight. I did not care about anything. So I'm like, you know what, let me get a grip on life. Let me try to get some guidance. And that's where I ended up in the military.
I honestly think that the Navy, well, not even just the Navy, I think the military in general is like, well, was like a saving grace to a lot of us. It provided, and of course, it came with its ups and downs, right? But the military in a whole, especially if you utilize it for what you need, it was a saving grace for us because I was like you, like I was fighting, I was barely going to school, like I was on the path of having a deadbeat life. Like I was definitely on a strong and narrow path to doing absolutely nothing until I joined the military. And it kind of sounds like that was your story as well, up until you ran into this amazing recruiter.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I was angry, of course, because of a lot of traumas that I dealt with growing up. And nothing like crazy or anything like that, but of course, uh, daddy issues, and of course, I'm like, you know
Mm-hmm.
what? And not to bash him, because my dad and I, we are in a really great place now. But of course, I just
Right.
didn't have the guidance that I needed at that point in time in my life to just say, you know what, you should not act like this or anything like that. But I think the Navy did help guide me and mold me a lot, of course.
Do you think some of the, because I hear you talk about some of the traumas that you experienced, prior to joining, and we're so young, right? We're so young when we join, and a lot of us, well, I'm not going to say a lot of us. A lot of the Black veterans that I know, right, have most of the time, and this is me speaking about the veterans that I know, we have these troubled pasts prior to joining. A lot of times these Black veterans, we come into the military and then we're looked at as like these problem children, or like, oh, like you said, like, oh, that's a Black sailor, or that's a Black female, she got a bad
Mhm.
attitude. And at no point in time is it taken into consideration, some of the things that we had to face growing up. Like, yo, I'm happy to be here, but this was like, this literally saved my life. And you're not even taking into account, maybe I got a chip on my shoulder because I'm
Absolutely.
traumatized, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I definitely agree. Um, because when I came to the boat, right, and I'll never forget.
Mhm.
And my recruiter kind of lied to me a little bit, and I joke with her about it. And I'm like, I'm not going to the military unless that boat has Wi-Fi. So the first thing I said was, "What's the Wi-Fi password?" And everybody looked at me because they're like, "Oh, now who the hell is this with this country?"
What year was this and you asking about Wi-Fi?
Girl, 2000 and the 2012. That was when I first caught it onto the ship. So,
Oh yeah, you had bumped your
girl,
head. We barely had internet
girl,
connection.
girl, girl. Oh my goodness, girl. Or was it 2011? So, yeah, I'm like, what's the Wi-Fi password? And everybody looking at me like, wait, who is this real country ghetto chick that's on this boat? And of course, and I hate that it's like a stigma, you know. Of course, if you're from the South, you're either one, you're country, or you're ghetto. And then of course, if you speak a little louder, then of course you're really loud and ghetto and obnoxious and all these things. So I definitely think that they look at Black sailors or people of color in a different light than what people of other ethnicities are. So I think that, I did have a chip on my shoulder because of that as well, and that didn't help my attitude either as well. So, but definitely.
I definitely feel like in the military, and I can't speak for other branches because I've only experienced this in the Navy, but I definitely feel like Black women are given way less grace. It's as far as what I experienced. Black women were given far, far less grace than any other woman on the ship.
I agree.
That's just that's just my perspective.
Absolutely, absolutely. I definitely agree.
It was easier for them to give us a negative label, or prejudge us, or mislabel us. I didn't have a lot of I don't know of a lot of white women or Hispanic women or Asian women in the Navy that had these negative labels placed upon them like I remember Black women having on their boat. Like, I just don't remember that.
Absolutely, absolutely. And then I will say, and I will take accountability for some things, like back then. Rose Chung back then really did not care what you thought of her. So I honestly did not make it any better for myself either. Because back then, I would literally say whatever came to my mind. Like, if this person had me messed up, oh, I'm going to let you know you have me bent, where you can go and what you can kiss. So I definitely did not make it better for myself. And just being older and wiser now, knowing what I know now, I did make it a little easier for them to label me. And not saying that that is okay, but knowing when you are African American, right? You already wake up with two
Mhm.
stripes, right? You're born African
Yep.
American, and you're an African American woman or African American, male or whatever the case may be. So you already have these stripes against you, and then I did not make it any better. You get what I'm saying? And not saying I'm
Yeah.
conforming to whatever image that they have of us, but I mean, I definitely carry myself a lot different than what I did back then. So if you,
You have to have this mindset where I'm going to prove you wrong, or I just don't give a damn.
absolutely, absolutely,
And I don't know, and I would like to play devil's advocate. I don't know which one is good or bad. Why do I have to prove to you that I'm not those things and you don't know me? Why do I have to prove to you that I'm not something? Why do I have to go beyond, over and beyond, to show you normality, right? Just to show you that I'm not something. So you can label me as acceptable. I think that's bullshit. And then in the same breath, like you said, taking accountability, maybe some of the stereotypes are true. Maybe some of the labels that you placed, maybe I am
Absolutely.
angry. Maybe I am
But I also
angry.
had the right to be angry. How-
I have that
Right.
right.
But
Yes.
the way that I was expressing my anger in certain aspects didn't make it right. It didn't justify.
Mhm.
And and we all know why they label us the way that they do. We all know why, right? We can that is a conversation that can be never ending, right? It we wouldn't even
Right.
have enough time in this podcast to sit up here and say, well, you know what they did. Well, right. However, in the same breath, there's also accountability. It did not give me the right to respond to certain things the way that I did. And I will say, to be honest, yeah, I did go to the military for guidance and a little bit more structure. But to be honest with you, I did not calm down until I had my daughter. I'm telling you, because even in the military, I still would put a foot up somebody's ass. That was no doubt about it, right? And then,
Mhm.
and I also looked at it like I'm in this contract in the military, and I have to take the mess that they give me, right? I have to. And I
Right.
don't know if you remember Chief Barnhart, but I remember I was actually getting ready to go to Captain's Bass, and she stuck something. She said something to me, and it stuck with me to this day. And she said, "Elexus," and she called me by my first name. She's like, "Elexus, you have to take what people. You have to take the message, filter out the bullshit, and receive the message, right?" And I'm like, you know what? It kind of makes sense, but it kind of don't, because I really don't like this lady, but it it
Right.
it resonated with
I'm
me.
getting advice from an op.
Right. It really resonated with me. And I'm like, you know what? She's absolutely right. There are going to be times, and there has been, I can tell you now, even last week, there has been things that has been said to me that I did not like, but I received the message. I filtered out the BS, right? And I'm like, okay, I
Mhm.
can receive the message. That's why I can kind of look at Kanye West, like when he's spazzing out, I'm like, well, I can understand what Kanye is trying to say, because yes, absolutely, he's crazy. But when you filter out all the BS on what he's trying to say, and you actually digest the message, it's like, okay, that kind of makes sense, you know? To go back to what we were, originally speaking about, yeah, the labels is complete bullshit. Do we make it easy for us sometimes? Like, no, we don't. But is it justified? No, it's not, because we should not be labeled. We are all human. We're all equal. That's how I see it. We're all equal, unless you're just downright a disgusting person.
Especially in this uniform.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. And that's what they say. We're uniform. We're all one. Well, that's not how they treat us. Absolutely.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely
Yeah.
not. So you mentioned that having your daughter is really where the shift came in at, and I'm pretty sure a lot of mothers, whether you are prior military or civilian or whatever, we can all identify with how our kids can cause us to evolve in different ways that we didn't see possible. How did the birth of your daughter change you? Because I remember the change, and at the time I wasn't a mom, right? I just remember being like, after you came back off a baby leave, like, dang, Rose Chung is so calm now. Like, she's so calm.
Yes, well, another reason why I was calm, because I wasn't getting any sleep. Girl, that baby was going crazy at nighttime. I'm like, oh my goodness. But that was one reason I wasn't getting any sleep, right? But then, I was really selfish in the beginning before I had my daughter. Like, me, 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 me. But the moment, like, as soon as I had her, July 14, 2014, at 4:41 a.m., I went from being selfish to selfless. You get what I'm saying? Like, everything that I had done, I'm like, you know what? It doesn't matter, because this little person is counting on me. And I think that was like a huge, like, shift in my life when I had her. Like, okay, you know what? She might be a little baby, but kids are like sponges. I call them SpongeBobs, right? They soak up everything that they see. So I'm like, this is like, I was looking for change. I was looking for direction. I was looking for guidance. But my biggest lesson and blessing was my daughter. My daughter, to this day, she still teaches me things, right? Like, I'm still learning as a mom. I'm still learning as a woman. I'm still learning as a human. But like, that has been like my biggest educator, Peyton Brooks. Like, she's always teaching me something. So we're always learning. I will say that.
So you end up having your daughter in 2014, and shortly after that, you received other than honorable discharge. Tell me what your mind was thinking, or what you were going through. Like, oh my God, I have this baby. I just got an other than honorable discharge. Was you prepared? Like, walk me through that moment in your life.
Absolutely, yeah. And that's a great question. And the reason why I say it's a great question, because a lot of military people that's transitioning out of the military, they are struck with that OTH. I don't know anything about a dishonorable discharge because I don't have that discharge, but I know with my OTH, right? And I'll go into detail of how I got it. Y'all, those people in that military, on that boat, on that base, was getting on my nerve, girl. I went to go get me a blunt. I sure did. And I ended up, and of course, remember when I told y'all I was a firecracker back then? End up getting into it with a damn police officer on base, girl. And the next day they go and they test me. I'm like, damn. But I really didn't care because you know what? That day, like that morning, I probably drunk the whole damn. I probably drunk the whole Pacific Ocean. I'm not gonna even lie to y'all. I drank so much water, I almost hazed myself, y'all. But I think that was God's way of showing me that there was so much more out there, because in the military they bang it into your head like there's no other job like the Navy. Easiest
Mm-hmm.
job. You will never have a job that's easy as right. And I ended up, pissing hot, and I end up, getting called down to security. I'm like, damn, I already know what this is about. So I had this new baby, and my husband at the time, he was working at, oh no, Denzel was actually on the shipyard. So this is like, we were still like super broke. Like, we were poor, like poor. Like, my mom had,
Y'all hear that? You can be poor in the Navy.
absolutely.
You can be poor in the military. So stop asking these people that ain't been in the military nothing but 2 or 3 and 4 years for money, because they ain't
Okay,
got
and
it.
quit getting married because you are broke in the military too, okay? Because those military
Yeah.
do not last, baby. That Challenger and Charger is not worth that marriage, honey. I'm telling y'all. Y'all just wait. Just wait. But we'll get into that in just a second. But I was super poor at the time. And at this time, the only thing that was like really just keeping me afloat, of course, was the BAH. And we were staying in housing. So like, I didn't have any bills necessarily, but like, Denzel and I were barely like feeding ourselves. Like, our parents was ordering us pizza from Dallas and to watch.
I remember you telling me that story one time.
And I said, you know what? I don't. I said, God, I'm gonna put it in your hands. And my granddad, God rest his soul, my granddad, I just lost him last year. Um, I was just like, I don't know how I'm gonna do this, but I used to get a lot of like words of encouragement, advice, wisdom from him, and he's like, you are going to be okay. So I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do, because when you're going through, I can't even remember what it's called when you're transitioning out, but when you're going through like that week-long class, they're like, well, you may face depression and you may have suicidal thoughts. And I'm like, what in the world? Like what
Right.
is this? Like, and it kind of sucks because like it's kind of like they push like depression onto you as you're transitioning, right? They kind of condition you like there's nothing other than the military. So I end up
Mm-hmm.
getting out, and I have this DD 214 that says other than honorable, right? And I'm like, how the hell am I going to get a job? And I have a brand new baby. Peyton was all of 11 months, right, when we had gotten out. And I'm like, I remember the Navy, they ended up paying for me to move because like 97% of my contract was served honorably. So they actually ended up saying like, you know, we'll pay for you to go home and all this other stuff.
Oh, wow, that's
Yes.
love.
So I remember I got out, got my last check, and I think at the time, girl, I think I was getting maybe $1,500, $1,600, if because they bust me down, right? I was an E4, then they bust me down to like an E3, and then they suspended it.
Mhm.
And like the captain was so cool, right? Because I was his yeoman at the time, right? Of the base. So I was his yeoman. He was like, I'm just gonna suspend the bus. I want you to still get paid. I don't wanna put you on restriction because you do have that brand new baby. You know, we're not gonna do you like that. So big shout out to him, right? But I'm out and I'm on this flight to Texas and I'm like, oh my God, like give me some type of pathway of what I should do, right? So I think I applied to like a million jobs, right? This is like when Indeed first was like introduced to me, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I don't know what I'm going to do. So the first week, I applied, nothing, right? And I'm getting discouraged. I'm on food stamps. I'm on WIC. I'm just super frustrated, right? I literally have nothing but a Honda Accord, a 2007 Honda Accord.
I remember that car
And
too.
I'm like, what did I get me and my baby into, right? Denzel decided to stay in
Right.
Washington because he wanted to stay at the shipyard and work at the shipyard. So,
Oh, wow. So your husband stayed in
mhm.
Washington and you went back
Yep,
to
yep. And he's
Dallas.
actually still there, you know. And you got,
Oh,
yeah,
wow,
he's
really?
still there, and we're not together by the way. But so I'm here, and then I finally get a phone call for Medicare sales, right? And they're like, hey, we want you to come in for an interview. And when I get there, it's like a group interview. And I'm like, what is this? Because normally when you go to like a group interview, it's like an open house and it's never really like, we're going to hire you. Well, these people hired me and they're like, well, we're going to pay for your license for Medicare sales to sell health insurance. So I ended up taking the license, the test for the license. Passed, barely passed, right? Because I'm just like, it doesn't even matter. I passed, whatever. I think like the passing score was like a 74. I think I got like a 76, right? So,
Okay.
okay, well, you know what, God, I thank you for getting me here, right? So I do that
Right.
for one season, and I'm like, I feel like I am robbing the elderly. Like healthcare
Oh,
is like it's a
wow.
scam, right? These people are telling me like, and you have to understand these are older people, people who have like disabilities. And it's not necessarily just older people, it's just people who have disabilities if they're not over the age of 65 or whatever the case may be. And they're telling me their stories like, I don't have anybody to take care of me, I'm literally eating cat food. And I'm like, oh my goodness, this cannot be like my everyday life. Like I feel like this job is sucking the life out of me. So one day on my way to work, it is so funny. Denzel and I, my ex husband, Denzel and I, we are arguing, right? And so I'm on my way to work, and I come to a stop in traffic. This lady runs in the back of me, like literally eats my entire trunk up. Like the trunk is completely smashed in. I file,
Oh my
I file a claim
gosh.
with the insurance company. They deny my claim, and I said, "What the hell?" Now this is a no brainer. Like I'm stationary, and she hits me. And so this is with this insurance company. They're no longer even in business anymore, right? Because they deny one too many claims. So I'm like, I have to get I have to get into claims. And that's how I became an adjuster. And so uh, of course Medicare sales is like, it's from like you start in June, and then open enrollment for like Medicare ends in like December. And so I actually transferred from like sales to like the, I think it was called Payflex at the time. It's like a account for like when you have like insurance, and then if you pay for a prescription or go to a doctor's visit, you'll use your Payflex account. So I was essentially like in that department, right? So I applied to Liberty Mutual, and I'm like, I have to like get into claims. I need to see exactly why they deny my claim, because like my car is completely torn up. Good thing I had insurance, but my car is completely torn up. I have to pay this deductible, and I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do, right? And it's just like it was one thing after another. And so I actually get a call from this lady named Alex Stone. I'll never forget her name, because that's how that's the beginning of my journey of becoming a claims adjuster. So I immediately say, I was in the military. Oh, you got the job. Like literally at the interview, we want to give you an offer, right? I'm making I think they offered me like $46,000, and this is in 2016 at this point. So that's deep.
Listen, if you not dropping the military in interviews, I don't think I've ever been on an interview period that I didn't mention being in the
Oh,
military.
absolutely. Absolutely.
You gonna know,
Oh,
baby, because how America treats veterans, baby. Yes, I served honorably. I went on deployments. Yes, deployed. Sure did.
and you know what's funny, you guys, and I know that you mentioned you're honorable, and then I currently have an OTH, and I'm still working on that. Well, I haven't even been working on it because it really hasn't bothered me, right? But that OTH does not matter in when you're a civilian. They're not going to ask you for your DD 214. That's something that I do want you guys to know. You know.
I am so happy that you put that information out because I think that there's a lot of
Mhm.
misinformation about. I think people believe that, oh, if I didn't anything outside of an honorable, it's just like you can't even work at
Oh,
McDonald's because that's how they try to make
mhm,
it seem to us on the inside.
mhm.
Like it's so many myths around anything besides
And
honorably.
to
Like
know
if it's crazy.
the only place that has asked for my DD 214, and I kid you not, was USAA, so I can get some more insurance through them. That is it. That is all. You will need that DD 214 when you go to the VA hospital to go get your benefits and stuff. Nobody cares about that DD 214 out here. I promise you. Unless you're requesting your VA loan for a house or something, then hey, you may need it then. But I'm telling you, you guys, like, do not let the military trick you into believing that there is nothing out there for you, even if you do have an OTH, even if you do have a other than a dishonorable or a general. Like, I'm telling you guys, like, you can make it out here. So um so I end up getting on at Liberty Mutual, and that's how I became an adjuster. And then I worked for staff companies like Liberty Mutual, Progressive, and then I became an independent adjuster. And then that's where the real money came in at, right?
Right, and that's what I wanted to
Mhm.
ask you about because I've heard of claims adjusting
Mhm.
before. I have a friend. Shout out to Julius the Bartleben, but I have a friend that is like I guess he does that or did that at one point in time, and I was thinking about it. And he was like, oh, I go out and I go on deployments and stuff. And I'm like, what? But then when I talked to you about it, you was like, no, I don't do that. And you told me how much money you were able to acquire and that you were like making six figures doing that. I'm like,
Mhm.
what's the difference?
Yeah.
Like, could you explain what the difference is between
Yeah,
that?
absolutely. When you are a staff adjuster, you work directly for the company. So when I first started at Liberty Mutual, they hired me on and I worked directly through them. So I reported to them any files that I handled. It would be reviewed solely by Liberty Mutual, right? And then I left Liberty Mutual, then went to Win Haven, so on and so forth. And I was working directly for these companies. So in 2021, I became an independent adjuster, and that's when I started to work for firms. So you guys may know them as like a staffing company. So it could be like a temp agency for y'all, right? So for people who don't really know, but like it's kind of like a temp agency, and they put you on an assignment, also known as a deployment. Now you can be a desk adjuster, which I am. I do all my file reviews like at my desk, or if the assignment is, remote, you will do it from home, or if it's hybrid, you will do home and in office. But I am reporting directly to my claims firm. So one of the claims firms that I worked with is the best. It's the best claims solutions, right? So the best would essentially go out and get these accounts with like Progressive, State Farm, and then we would work the claims for them. And so I think at one point, I know with like Hurricane Irma, or was it Hurricane Ida? I think it was Hurricane Ida. That deployment, y'all, I made, I think that year, and this is like in an 8 month time frame, I made like $97,000, right?
In 8
Yes,
months?
$97,000.
Y'all
Girl,
hiring?
girl,
I'm just asking for a friend.
girl, look, they are always hiring. That's why we were really upset that there were no hurricanes that hit last year. But yeah,
Ain't that crazy? Y'all was mad that the world didn't go through a catastrophe,
girl, yes,
Lord.
and I know it sounds bad, but it's like, dang, we need a hurricane, we need a snowstorm, we need this, and we don't want nobody to die. We just want y'all to file a claim. We want y'all to pay y'all deductibles. That's it. But each assignment is different. So the people that goes out into the field, like your friend, he could do auto, he could do property. The people that do property, they essentially like get on top of roofs. But those people that's like in the field, that's what we call them, in the field. Sorry
So
about
the
that. Can you
people,
hear me? Can you hear me? I'm
yes.
sorry. Sorry about that.
So
So
the
yeah,
people, could you explain the difference between the people that are in the field?
yeah. So the people that's in the field, they go out and they inspect your property damage, your vehicles or whatever, and they'll write an estimate. But those people, so let's just say I'm a desk reviewer, right? Let's say my contract could be $40 an hour. Well, they could get paid uh, $45, $50 an hour, and then they get paid per diem, and then they may get paid for like the mileage. Like, there's a little bit more because they are actually more hands on because they're like essentially climbing on top of roofs. They're looking at cars or whatever the case may be. So that's the difference between a desk review adjuster and a um, in the field adjuster. So
So it sounds like the field, like they go out, they're on top of roofs and stuff, and then the desk, y'all, somebody else goes out and y'all review the stuff.
Right. So we're like the paper pushers. You get what I'm saying? So
Yeah, I'll be a
we,
paper pusher for $97,000 for in 8 months.
oh, absolutely, you definitely can. But the thing is, when you are an independent adjuster, there is no work life balance. Your life is literally 97%, like every dollar that you make, that's going to be the percentage of your life. Like with Hurricane Ida, Irma, Ian, we were literally working like 16-hour days.
So
And
how do
you
you
you have
balance that as a mom?
girl, you make waves, honey. And the best thing to have is a village. It
Yeah.
does take a village, especially when you do have children. You do have to sacrifice time. um you know as a catastrophe adjuster, there were a lot of events that I missed with my daughter, and I hate that I did it because I cannot get those memories back. I can't get that time back. Everything is not about money when you do have kids. So I do want to put that out there as well. Yeah, you make a lot of money, but you don't have time to spend with your kids, and you barely have time to spend your money. So that's the only downside about it. There is no work life balance.
So on the down seasons, you probably don't make as much money, but you get more time with your kids.
Yeah, absolutely. So, like right now, right? This past season was horrible. A lot of people were not working. Uh, I am so thankful, and I tell God all the time, I am so thankful because I was favored. He had His hand on me and my kids the entire season because I worked all of last year. I think maybe 2 months out of the year I did not work in 2023. So, the only downside, I was making like $35 an hour, and there was no overtime. So essentially, I didn't make as much money as I normally did. But of course, you have to be you have to be good with finances. You have to save your money. You have
So
to.
you're not working year round. You're not working 12 months out of the year.
Mm-mm, nope.
you do have to be good with your money then, because I feel like a lot of people, where you, especially coming from the military, you used to getting paid on the first and the 15th every single month. So
Mm-hmm.
during these off seasons or downtimes, you not getting so say you make $97,000 in 8 months, you don't make any money for those 4 months that you're
Right.
not working. Oh, okay, okay.
Right. But the good thing is, right, when you're not working, you can always file unemployment. So
Oh, wow.
that's the good thing about it, right? However, you do have those people out there who's not good with financial planning. That's why I always
Mm-hmm.
tell people, and also when you're independent, this is another thing that I want to tell you guys too. You make all this money, but you have to pay for your own health care. You have to make sure that you're putting money into a 401k plan. So, like myself, I have an IRA, a traditional IRA with Merrill
Mm-hmm.
Lynch through my bank. So that's something that I contribute to. There isn't a company that contributes to that. But let's just say I do go back to a staff company, or I go back to a staff position at a company like Geico, Progressive, right? Then I
Mm-hmm.
can then have them to contribute to that 401k plan that I have, that with my bank. So you do have to be smart. And then also what I do on the flip side, I do a lot of trading. I do a lot of swing trading, or when I'm in my downtime, like let's just say right now, right? Um, I do a lot of option trading. And one of my classmates, he actually put me onto this, and he said, hey, do this and look at these trends. And this is how, I was also able to stack some bread essentially too, or, get some money in, some quick money. When I've done option trades, I have literally made $1,200 and, with, just trading. So that is something that I do recommend that people get into, even if it's not trading or investing. uh get you like some property, get you a car, put it on Toro, get you a
Definitely.
yeah, even Airbnb. I'm not really too fond of the Airbnb thing
Yeah,
because
me neither.
yeah, because I have friends who's done Airbnbs, and they have gotten the shit end of the stick, where people don't want to leave the property, or when they get their back into their property, the house is tore up, holes are in the walls. Like that's something that, you know I always say there's always an opportunity for growth, and there's always an opportunity to make money. It's out there, So don't let the military make you believe that there's no way for you to get it.
Have some type of side hustle going on. And big shout out to the people that's still active duty right now. I'm really jealous of y'all, because when we was in, I don't know if because we was just so depressed from being on deployments all the time, but social media is crazy. I see so many like s- influencers and um people that are just active duty, they got side hustles. Like, it's needed, it's really really needed. I don't know about you, Alexis, but I was unfortunately, I didn't get put on to stuff like that until like my very last probably couple months in the military. And really, once I got out, to okay, you need to have some type of hustle about yourself. You can't just rely on one stream of income. Like, that information wasn't being put out while we were in the military, and social media wasn't as popping back in 2011, 12, and 13 when we were
Right,
in, to
right.
have access to that type of information. So, our downtime, I think the only thing, so like I've always had a second job, right? Even in the military, I had a second job, but it wasn't like um make your own money for yourself. Don't let your money be don't let you get your money be dependent on somebody else, right?
Right.
And just thinking of these creative ways to go and get it. Like you said, options trading. Can't nobody fire you from options trading. Can't nobody fire you from doing lashes. Can't nobody fire you from you can get canceled for being an influencer, but can't nobody like fire you or be like, you know what, you did this, I don't like it, don't come back to my establishment no more, and I'm not going to pay you anymore. you know
Absolutely.
Nobody
Absolutely.
has that type of, and I wasn't privy of that information until shit 2021, 2020.
And that's
you
because
know
and I think the military does that, right? Like, how can I say it? And I because the military is a great resource for a lot of people. Like for me, it was good, and it had its bad. It had the pros and the cons, right? But I also look at the military like high school. You remember, like, like in high school, they teach you about like home ec, like, oh, this is how you raise a baby, and this is,
Right.
but they
Mhm.
don't teach you about credit and shit like that. Like
Yep.
that's how the military is. It's like they gatekeep certain things, like they don't
Yeah.
tell. They don't. Well, when I was going, what is the class again? It's been so long.
Taps.
Taps. When I was going through taps, they literally, this is what they talked about. Literally, if you feel depressed, go to the VA. If you like, it was just basically like they made me feel so bad about having to leave the military. And on the same token, I was also relieved that I was getting out because I missed a lot. I missed a lot, like with my family and things like that. But um, it's like they gatekeep a lot of information, a lot of pertinent information, and they
And
always
that's what
just
I
try to.
was yeah, and that's what I was telling another guest, like, there's so many resources for veterans, whether you have an OTH, whether you have a honorable, there's so many resources out here for us that we just literally don't know about. We just don't know about them. We don't know that we qualify for them. We don't know how to access them. And that's a real shame. And it's a real shame.
That's
And I don't know if they, because for a long time I'm like, why don't they tell us this stuff? Like, why don't they tell us this stuff? But then you got to think about it. Like, the people, which is why, I created this platform and Victorious Vets. You out here being trained on how to be a civilian by somebody that ain't a civilian. TAPS class is ran by either a civilian that hasn't been in the military, somebody that hasn't used these resources. And when I was getting out, TAPS class was it was virtual. And then the people that they had debriefing us was other high ranking military members. Of course, you're not gonna tell me what I need to know. You still
right,
in the military, you ain't never used this stuff before. So how could you advise me on it?
right,
Right? How can you advise me on this stuff if you ain't never put it to good use? And that's the problem. That's the problem, is we don't know. You don't know what you don't know. And y'all telling me I got $1 million in my bank, but you ain't told me how to access it. It's like having a life insurance policy. I got a life insurance policy on myself, but don't nobody know about it. So if something happens to me, how my family gonna utilize that?
right. Absolutely.
It's just sitting there. Like, you gotta spread that knowledge, and the instructions and the how to's on how to utilize this stuff, or it holds no value.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, and that's what I was actually talking. So, I am like a very much of a people's person, and I was actually talking to the owner of my claims firm like a year and a half ago, right? And she was just talking to me, and I was just letting her, and I didn't even know who she was. I'm just talking, right? Just talking, and I'm just like, I'm a veteran, and um, there are a lot of resources that we don't even know that we have, or there is resources that we need, and it's just, I told her, the same thing that we've been talking about. When I got out of the military, they made it seem like that I could never ever make $100,000 in 7-8 months. I would like, knowing what I know now. I wish I could have stood up in that classroom, that TAPS class, and said, "Y'all, they are lying to us." Like, and then not only are they lying to us, they are withholding information, which I don't even know which is worse, withholding information or just flat out lying to us, right? And so, um, I'm definitely glad and I'm thankful that you do have this podcast, Jay, because say if you're not doing it right, a lot of other people are not doing it. How will we
Hmm.
even know about
How
the
will
people
we
out
know?
there? So
Yep.
you're a blessing for that. I just wanted to let you know that, girl.
I appreciate that. Thank you, thank you, thank you again, Alexis. I just definitely want to give you your flowers. I think you are the definition of resiliency. There's a lot of veterans that are out here that have acquired success, but I really love your story because it's unorthodox. it's not the regular story, because they make you feel like getting out the military is the worst thing, and getting out
Mhm.
without a honorable discharge is next to being a crackhead almost.
Oh, and that's the thing, girl. I'm trying to tell you, baby. I could have sworn. I'm telling y'all, when I was going through taps, I literally had my damn cardboard sign ready, y'all. I felt like I was gonna have to ask a spare change. I'm telling y'all, look, nobody gives a F about that damn DD 214. Nobody's gonna ask for it. Nobody.
I love
Nobody
that for you.
Nobody's gonna ask for it. And I'm gonna tell y'all this too, because I got out because I smoked me a little weed. I sure did. I smoked me a little blunty blunt. I'm telling you, the industry that I'm in now, like there are so many opportunities out there, right? Just because you have hit a roadblock in life, that does not stop the road. Okay? You just have to go around the roadblock. You might have to get into the median and drive through the median, or you just might have to hit that damn roadblock. But I'm telling y'all, it is a way out there for y'all. Do not fall into depression. And if you are depressed, please go see somebody. Talk to somebody. You know,
Yes.
you don't have to deal with that on your own. There are resources out there for you. But I'm telling you, your issues does not have to stem from what they put into your head or what they beat into you when you are leaving the military, whether it's honorable, dishonorable, other than honorable, general. You got this, y'all. I'm telling y'all.
Of course. I was gonna ask you, do you got a gem or something that you want to drop? But baby, you didn't dropped it. You done dropped it, picked it back up, and dropped it again, like a like a Hot Boys video.
I'm so,
Um,
I'm sorry for jumping ahead, but no, I just wanted to let them know,
no, no, we needed that. We needed
Yeah.
that. We appreciate you. We appreciate your existence. We appreciate everything that you've done. And where can these people find you at on social media? I'm about to wrap. What's up? Where you at? How can they contact you?
Okay, y'all. So, because I am in insurance and people do get a little crazy, they will try to find you on social media, girl and guys. But yeah, so my handle on Instagram is morning MORNIG sunshine SUNSHYNE, and I am Soo Young Chung on Facebook. So that's SU space YONG. Last name is CHONG.
Amazing. Amazing. Thank you so much. Y'all, her name is Alexis, but she always gonna be my Rose. She always gonna be my Rose.
Absolutely. And I love you too. And once again, thank you for doing this for veterans or just for people out there, military spouses. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Because without this, people will never know. And what I like to say, ignorance is bliss.
Yes, ignorance is definitely bliss. All right, y'all. This has been another episode of the Six Figure Vet Podcast. Please like, share, comment, subscribe on all social media platforms. You can find us on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or wherever you get your local podcast. The Six Figure Vet is out. If you are a veteran, active duty service member, or civilian that is currently in a mental health crisis or suffers from mental health issues, please dial 988. Trained crisis responders are available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and the calls are completely confidential. Again, that number is 988. Veterans and service members, press 1. You don't have to suffer in silence.